It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Hello and good afternoon. Thank you for watching UBC Television, Inspiring Uganda, the 13th day of June 2021. My name is Wadulo Arnold, and welcome to the weekly news roundup bulletin, the bulletin that sums up those headline stories within the week. Without further ado, this is the headline story for this week. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, in his recent COVID-19 address, directed new standard operating procedures to curb the increase of the coronavirus cases in Uganda. Now, the president emphasized that Uganda ought to take the second wave seriously by being vigilant and abiding by the newly established standard operating procedures. Let's take a look. 81 districts have recorded high sustained transmission of the coronavirus in the last 2 weeks. Among these include Kampala, Wakiso, Gulu, Luweero, Mbarara, Mbale, Tororo, Moroto, Massacre, Busia, Nabilatuk, Amuru, Lira, Moyo, Arua, Lamo, Kalungu, Rubirizi, and Yumbe.
Should cases rapidly escalate and overwhelm the above bed capacity, government will install a 300-bed field hospital per regional referral hospital, thus providing an additional 4,500 beds. That is to say, if the problem becomes worse, then we, near the referral hospital, we build their tents.
Currently, there is diffused and sustained COVID-19 transmission in the 81 districts, where the highest burden districts are Kampala, reporting an average of over 500 cases per day, followed by Wakiso and Gulu, which have consistently reported over 100 cases per day.
I call upon all district leaders, including LOCs, cultural and religious leaders, to use existing structures and systems to ensure that SOPs are observed in the villages and during village functions, and the village health teams are supported to mobilize people to report illness and support communities as guided in the Ministry of Health guidelines for home-based care and support.
By age group, the distribution of the 12,564 confirmed COVID-19 cases between 1st March and 6th June of 2021 shows that 0 to 9 years have been recorded to be over 500, 10 to 19 years have been recorded to be over 1,100, 20 to 29 years have been recorded to be over 2,700, 30 to 39 years have been recorded to be over 3,200. 40 to 49 years have been recorded to be over 1,800. 50 to 59 years have been recorded to be over 900. 60 to 69, over 400. 70 to 79 have been recorded to be over 200. For people over 80 years, 100 cases have been confirmed.
Uganda is expecting to receive an additional 175,000 doses for the vaccine through the COVAX facility. This is AstraZeneca. So please, you people, you vaccinate second round, the ones who have already. Yes, first finish those. Because if you don't, then that one will be wasted. In fact, I wouldn't want you to vaccinate new ones until you finish second round the other ones, so that we have that complete group.
As government mobilizes the population for vaccination, installing a 300-bed field hospital for regional referral hospitals are in the pipeline. Schools, institutions of higher learning, places of worship, public gatherings, non-food markets and inter-district travel have all been suspended for 42 days in order to curb the further spread of coronavirus. Wadulo, Arnold, UBC News.
Then later within the week, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni launched the civic education program that is aimed at promoting unity, teach the public sense of duty and social values. The program will run under the campaign dubbed "This is Home," that will influence a shift from divisions caused by politics and harmonious coexistence as a modern state.
Largely agreed that Ugandans love themselves but don't love their country because the civic education, an aspect in a country that promotes unity, patriotism, harmony, values, a sense of duty and accountability, has been lacking.
The Patriotism Secretary in Office of the President,
President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has launched the program at the 32nd Heroes Day celebrations at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds in Kampala. He hopes that Ugandans will now set aside tribalism, intolerance and division. Earlier, before the launch at Kololo, civil society organizations led by the UN Country Representative Rose Malango held a conference at her residence in solidarity of the program.
Constitutional democracy is in serious trouble if its citizens do not have a certain degree of education and civic virtue. End quote. We need to engage and converse about our shared values and our aspirations collectively as a people. I am therefore greatly humbled and honored to see Uganda achieve a milestone in the promotion of the civic education for this country.
She urged Ugandans to embrace "This is Home" campaign for oneness.
So ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for us to hand over to Uganda a platform which is homegrown and home-led and home-operated. What we are launching today is a Ugandan space for Ugandans to define their identity, for Ugandans to define the content of civic education and good citizenship. So to all Ugandans, I invite you, religious leaders, cultural leaders, celebrities.
This is Home civic education campaign will be implemented by the National Initiative for Civic Education in Uganda, NICE-UG.
The campaign that we're going to launch later today will promote a sense of duty to country. It will raise awareness about public and private development programs and opportunities, inspire Ugandans to be confident and proud about their identity, and ultimately positively affect changes of beliefs, attitudes, values, and behavior of citizens. This way, ladies and gentlemen, we will be able to effectively deal with the vices such as the creeping ethnocentrism, sectarianism, intolerance.
The officials from Ministry of Information Technology and National Guidance and other partners welcomed the program, saying it will once shape Uganda for better.
And it is true, society lives in diversities, but what coalesces society together is a common vision, a common value system, a common understanding, and a common commitment. And indeed, Uganda, we are committed to transforming our society.
Philip Aguta, UBC News in Kampala.
Furthermore, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni this week officiated the 32nd Heroes Day celebrations that were held scientifically at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds, Kampala, physically and by Zoom. Now, he said that Uganda has the capacity to defend itself against any aggression, as these details are going to share with us.
Today at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds, Kampala, with the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni as the chief celebrant.
Can we have...
The event was characterized by laying of wreaths on the mausoleums of liberation heroes entered at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds. President Museveni tasked the living veterans to remember the sole ambitions of the struggle that has seen Uganda raised to the current level.
One of the things we are fighting for is to stop extrajudicial killings, killing people outside the law. And the NRM is very strict on that. Even when mistakes occur, we follow them up.
President Museveni dared the opportunists who want to destabilize Uganda with violence that this could be a deadly venture.
I can tell you, if you have got ears to hear, that nobody can defeat the NRM by force. If you bring force, then you are in the wrong arena, because we have a lot of capacity to deal with force.
The president, however, expressed an open-door policy for the dialogue with the opposition.
Elections are now over, so it's better people. And me, I'm ready. I've met even some of the opposition. I meet them, and we discuss, and we advise them. They can also advise us. The only problem are some who don't want to discuss, and they think they will impose their views on us, which will not, of course, happen.
On the issue of development, Museveni urged to the new parliament to support his programs of wealth creation to fix poverty levels.
It is being a parasite for you not to engage in production, and you come to cause insecurity for those ones who are engaged in production. It's not fair. It's not godly. Everybody should see whether they can contribute, or if you can't contribute, at least don't disturb those who are engaged in production.
He criticized the Milo land system, which he said is distracting development and causing unending personal disputes.
This is a very bad system, the system which is in Uganda here, this one of Milo and all that, and some people support it, but it's very bad for the people. This is an evil system. It's not a fair system. And it is not in other parts of Uganda. Because in other parts of Uganda, when you are in a Chivanja, it is your Chivanja. But here, you find these people support this, that. It's really very bad, not fair. Uganda here, they have got so many actors. This one is saying this, this one is saying that. And it's all against the small person.
The UN resident coordinator to Uganda, Rosa Malango, hailed Ugandan heroes for their sacrifice that restored sanity in Uganda through promoting peace and justice.
It is in this spirit that we recognize the sons and daughters of Uganda who sacrificed their lives and came together, not based on their ethnicity, religion, or gender, but based on their belief of oneness, of being Ugandan. They sacrificed their lives for stability and prosperity of generations to come. We recognize the sacrifice of the citizens for the greater good as an important factor for social cohesion, inclusive development, and sustainable peace.
This year, there were no medals awarded, and a limited number of people were invited to attend to avoid the spread of COVID-19. This year's celebrations were under the theme, remembering those great men and women who put nation first in pursuing freedom for our motherland, Uganda. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, UBC News.
Furthermore, the business community operating in Kampala were this week given an ultimatum of 2 days to ascertain whether they are fit to continue with their activities in accordance with the COVID-19 fresh guidelines. The warning was given by the resident city commissioner, also a member of the Kampala COVID-19 task force, on an inspection tour in Kampala, noting a massive violation of COVID-19 guidelines.
Last week, President Yoweri Museveni declared a 42-day partial lockdown due to the increasing cases of COVID-19 in the country. The president directed institutions of learning to close as they observe the effect of COVID-19, giving the business community a leeway to operate with keen observation. The Kampala resident city commissioner, together with the leaders of the business community, have made an impromptu tour of the central business district to ascertain whether the standard operating procedures set against COVID-19 are being observed. At Chikubo Trading Center, the RCC was informed how Kampala Capital City Authority staff is violating these guidelines by allowing vendors to operate in the corridors, hence increasing on the numbers and violation of COVID-19 guidelines.
Enforcement officer wa KCCA bagenda ne bamanya nti omukulu ajja wano ne baloka bakuwa obusimu abantu bonna ne bava mu luguudo abali akamala okugenda ne baddamu ne beeyiwa mu luguudo kamera nizikuba ffe nitubanga twononeka eri ensi yonna n'omukulembeze w'eggwanga.
Haji Muhammad Katimbo told the leaders that the vendors had been tipped off to vacate the area because of their visit. UBC TV cameras captured the business activities after the impromptu visit, and it was business as usual. Observing that the COVID-19 guidelines are being violated, Kampala resident city commissioner Hood Hussein warned the business community to comply or write a report recommending their closure in 2 days.
Chikubo downtown, we are watching you on CCTV camera. We are going to close you, particularly Chikubo. If you don't abide by the rules, we are going to close you.
The team proceeded to the new tax park, where it was noted that there was overcrowding by stationary long route vehicles.
We are giving you up to tomorrow at midday for you to remove the taxis, the coasters that you have left idle in these tax parks. If you don't remove them, we are going to remove them and take them to an area where, if you are to get it back, you may have to suffer the consequences.
On their way to Kisenyi bus terminal, the team sensitized border riders how to maintain the standard operating procedures against the virus and interacted with drivers operating in Kisenyi Tax Park, advising them to maintain the standard operating procedures against COVID-19.
Era njala kutegeeza buli muvuzi wa boda mu Kampala Central Division yaddala mu entwalira ddala nti olunaku olw'enkyo kukwata nga tolina sanitizer ku piki ne siteegi ogisiŋŋaana nga teyinaawo mazzi na sabbuuni, eyo siteegi tugenda kugiggalawo kubanga olwaleero RCC wa Kampala tubadde naye nga tutambula ku gulawundi n'atwongera ebiragiro.
To those operating in arcades, there was no observance of the COVID-19 guidelines, with overcrowding imminent.
This is the center of the further spread of this epidemic, and we are not going to kneel down. We are not in a cocktail party really, guys. We are recommending that Kampala goes in a lockdown. Me, I'm going to recommend, because the president has played his part. The leadership is playing its part of reminding people that the disease is real.
The team proceeded to Usafi Tax Park in Kampala, where leaders were sensitized and warned against the dangers of COVID-19 and observance of the COVID-19 guidelines. At Owino Market, Ham Shopping Center, although a public address system was being used to warn people about the deadly virus, many were forced to wear masks. The Kampala resident city commissioner Hood Hussein is expected to write a report about observance of COVID-19 guidelines detailing how they have been abused. Sudat Kaye, UBC.
In another development, Arua Regional Referral Hospital was this week at the verge of running out of oxygen to manage COVID-19 patients and others in intensive care unit due to a rise in the COVID-19 cases in the region. Now, the oxygen shortage is an additional challenge to the 36-bed capacity that they only have at the COVID-19 treatment center. Now, chances are high that soon as the treatment center may run out of space. Let's take a look.
While speaking to UBC TV on Friday, Arua Director Dr. Philbert Nyeko revealed that the hospital only has oxygen to cater for 2 patients in the whole hospital.
The oxygen capacity will be surpassed. Our ability to provide oxygen for the hospital and the region would fail if we get just 2 more patients on oxygen.
With this disturbing situation the hospital is embroiled in amidst increasing COVID-19 cases, the hospital management is now advocating for West Nile District to consider home-based care for mild COVID-19 cases to create more space for those in critical condition.
Manage home-based care to take care of the asymptomatic and the mild cases and some of the moderate cases, only referring to us the severe cases so that we can take care of those ones.
In the COVID-19 treatment center is also a woman who has given birth, while another is expected to deliver any time from now, who all need oxygen supply. Despite the alarming fears about COVID-19, many people in Arua city are still reluctant in observing SOPs and wearing masks while in public places. The Bishop of Madi and West Nile Diocese Right Reverend Charles Collins and Daku stressed the need for the general public to adhere to the presidential declaration during the 42 days.
Death cases have increased, which is worrying. The infection continues to increase, yet hospitals and health facilities are full, sometimes with no capacity to handle the patients.
Border operators are using feeder routes to dodge checkpoints to ferry passengers who finally board taxis on either side of the districts for their final destinations. This is in total disregard of the ban on inter-district travel slapped on by the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni early this week.
Automobile operators continue to flout the inter-district travel ban imposed by government as a stop measure against COVID-19 infection. Between Kakerenge and Mile 11 along Kampala-Gulu Highway is a checkpoint between Luero and Wakiso districts, with many passengers stranded. However, temporary taxi parks on either side of the road wait for those who manage to negotiate their ways across for onward transportation.
Okweberera muko muntu yeberera munengo obulwadde we buli kye kituufu.
Kirutwalira essaawa nga 3 okufuna taxi kubanga afunye abantu abajjula bagende. Kuba kati essaawa zino omusaabaze tumusaawo munyigiriza ate era omugaa nti okuva wano paka Luweero tujja kuvugira sinsi 6 oba 5.
Ne bano boolaba abantu betutambuza sigamba nti baba baagala. Kizibu kimugwako bugwi. Era kati waliwo n'abamu abatudde wali. Sente zaali zibabuze naye yafunye chance n'afuna akasente najja ate kamugwereddeko mu kkubo olw'entambula.
Though the police manned red block intends to deny movements to non-authorized motorists on either side, border operators alternatively use the nearby feeder routes to ferry passengers who in the end board the waiting taxis.
Katumotoka za Luweero zibasuula wano. Ize wakizo ne zibasuula wali maaso wali Kakerenge. Katabeera na kasente nga bayisa wano emmanju we watu kubisenya wano bakomu ne basomeza wali waggulu eri ne batuuka.
Singa amalina byokkola wano byo si wenkolera. Tuyisa buyisa wano bivulu.
Tuyambeera era luyita 7 myereje tuyitamu. Olukobero DJ buliyo no bwa yakasa no koyitamu ngera obitegeera.
Located a few meters away from Mityana district is Mianzi, where a no-access zone was stationed by Uganda police to limit movement of passengers from Mityana, Kampala, parts of Mpigi and Kasanda districts. At Maya Trading Center along Massacre, Mpigi, Kampala Highway, non-authorized motorists and pedestrians were not allowed to go beyond the roadblock. But between me and you, this seems to be an illusion. As the non-adherence and compliance is continued to be witnessed, this will either call for tougher actions or additional stringent guidelines. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Kampala Metropolitan.
Institutions of higher learning and schools were at the beginning of the week closed for 42 days to check the spread of COVID-19, and this is a story we filed.
At the entrance of Buganda Royal Institute, Mengo, students are vacating the school premises with all their belongings to return home. It follows a presidential directive to close schools for 42 days to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The quickest means of transport was using border borders. Students loaded suitcases, mattresses and other personal belongings and left. Students say it is the second time schools are being closed and it affects their progress. They claim it will make them stay in school longer.
So we're going to miss what we call skills from the technical. And another thing is that now we are going to put a burden to our parents, start small scale businesses. For instance, may I want to buy some chickens, some hens so that they can hatch and do.
We had a lot of papers and then abruptly we are going home, yet we paid school fees, tuition there. So we are not okay at all.
She hurted us because we are going to be graduated next month on 9th. So I don't know when we are going to be graduated.
Efforts to capture scenes inside the school gate were frustrated by the gateman who denied access. At Macquarie University Mitchell Hall vehicle parking lot, students loaded their belongings to return home. They say the university, through the dean, directed wardens of the halls of residence to tell students to leave. International students were left stranded.
Last time, because we come from far, we have international students here. They haven't given students time. There's a letter that has been issued today at around midday, 11:30. That was issued that students should leave vacate halls of residence by the end of today, and students have not yet gotten transport.
To conclude with this semester, because we are delaying so much in school, but then we believe that probably this was the best solution, and we respect the order given by the president.
Third-year students had completed exams, while continuing students were due to start on Monday, 7th June.
The remaining students, the continuing students, were supposed to begin. I can tell you that at Makerere, without completing tuition, you cannot sit for an examination. So I can say 99% had definitely completed their tuition.
As a person also, I didn't have a tuition, and I was starting my exams today. So my president has helped me so much.
Nevertheless, President Museveni directed taxis, buses and private cars to stay in their respective districts starting 10th June. This would give parents a chance to pick their children from school. Meanwhile, at Caltech Academy, students were leaving the campus. But school administrators say they were left nursing losses after they had purchased resources for the students' stay at school.
Like we have stocked a number of things like food. Our service providers have provided things at school, some of which we have not paid. Yet some of these students had not cleared school fees yet. So
they also appeal to parents to ensure safety of learners during the lockdown.
Have got pregnant. They have been involved in very many bad behaviors. All this awaits them in this lockdown again. So I encourage the parents to keep these kids safe.
I'm Nafka Farida and Daniel Lugemwa in Kampala.
State House Anti-Corruption Unit Colonel Edith Nakalema, the RCC for Kampala, Hudu Hussein, and the police commander Moses Kafero this week intervened in the over-skyrocketing transport fares charged by bus and taxi owners. This followed stories of students and Ugandans stranded in the parks, prompting them to carry out an operation which managers were arrested. Government provided buses that took students, expectant and breastfeeding mothers to their destinations in the night free of charge.
4 a.m. in the wee hours of the morning. A section of Ugandans were still in bed, but students were flocking taxi parks and bus terminals, joining those who had barred a cold night with hopes of securing early means of transport to their up-country homes, but in vain. It's now a one-day countdown deadline to the Interdistrict travel ban restrictions of 10th June, and the government efforts to decongest the crowded bus terminals seems to be registering less impact. Shivering in the morning cold, students narrated their ordeal on how they ended up turning to be victims of conmen, masquerading to be brokers of different coaches, playing up-country routes.
I gave him the money I was having, but he gave me a fake receipt. After giving him the money, he lost away, and I started looking for him, but I never saw him. So I decided to go back to school. So when I saw the news at night that the government has put there the free transport for the students to go back, I decided to come very early in the morning, but I found when the vehicles had already gone, so I'm stuck here.
Because since the time we arrived here, we're not seeing any bus from police, we're not seeing any bus from the Ministry of Health. So we don't know what to do next.
Where the head of State House Anti-Corruption Unit, Colonel Edith Nakalema, yesterday made attempts to arrest some bus operators who had taken advantage of the situation to make fortunes through hiking transport fares that didn't deter players in the transport sector from maintaining the status quo. Hiked transport fares this morning was the order of the day at all bus terminals.
Reaching the park, the prices were more. If the child is sent 50,000, expecting the child to use 5,000 up to the park, and then maybe 35 to their bus park, and then 5,000 home, you find that the child has been given less money.
Each bus company had a different price tag. It was all about the forces of demand and supply coupled with opportunity cost, depending on the agency and destination.
One problem. I paid 120 to go to Cape. Some brother of mine has paid 90 to go to the same destination from the same company.
Last evening, a directive from the Inspector General of Police, Martin Ochola, was to the effect that the force would provide free transport means to school-going stranded students.
Here, we have marshaled all the police buses also. We are going to fuel them, and I want to also join you to take the children in the countryside.
The time they're going to come, we're not sure of anything. So actually, there's no information that is coming from up there. So we're just trying to coordinate ourselves in some certain groups, so that we can, maybe if they can see us in these groups, they can easily come to our rescue than individual groups.
And coordinating whatsoever is here. We have just been trying our students to go and talk to the police officers. I actually personally went to the CPS, but nobody seemed to be knowing anything.
The designated assembly points were Namaiba Park and City Square. However, at the time reached assembly points in the wee hours of the morning, the committed means of transport were nowhere to be seen, and the students we found were still stranded.
We are stuck here. The bus which we are going in to the village, it has already gone. Now we are waiting for it to come back.
Among those stranded include old women and children who braved the cold nights here. But as you can see, students here are still waiting for the buses that were promised by the government to deliver them in their home districts. Sadam Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Legislators this week expressed mixed reactions over the proposal by the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to increase the size of cabinet. Now, President Museveni this week said he needs to add one Minister of State on the available slots.
President Yoweri Museveni on Monday received support from his ruling National Resistance Movement Party, where members from NRM supported him to increase the size of cabinet to 80 ministers. Museveni tabled the motion before the NRM caucus at Kololo Independence Grounds in Kampala, asking to add one more slot on the current cabinet lineup.
I want to maintain more or less the same numbers, but with one additional Minister of State from the present numbers, the ones we have now. Because the numbers we have now are total of 79, if you include the Ministers of State. So I intend to propose that I add one Minister of State to the present lineup.
The motion was overwhelmingly backed by the MPs.
Those in favor say aye. The ones against say no. Or the very weak no. The ayes have it.
The last cabinet was made of 29 cabinet ministers and 50 ministers of state, which the president has proposed to increase to 51, while retaining the rest of the lineup, bringing the total number of ministers to 80. To some legislators, the taxpayers have to further dig into pockets to sustain the highly paid and the facilitated ministers, something not good to our economy.
Kenya has 20 ministers, Tanzania has 19 ministers, Burundi, one of the poorest countries in this region, has 18. Even Rwanda has, I think, 23. What is the use of 83 ministers? I can tell you we have been here for the last 5 years. Some of them, I don't know them.
Right now, the country is struggling with COVID. Our health sector is staggering. The education sector is staggering. Even the security of Ugandans is not good. So we need to find ways of allocating resources to these critical sectors. Having a bloated cabinet is not the answer to Uganda's solutions, to Uganda's problems.
So this notion that the president is saying that by appointing people, services will move faster. The biggest question should be to him, that tell me what service was delayed because there was no minister.
But some have supported the idea.
Creating one minister of state, as the NRM Parliamentary Caucus agreed yesterday, is not a big deal, because Ugandans, I want to allay the fears of Ugandans that when they create one position of the Minister of State, will take the entire budget of this country. That one is not true.
Adding one, I think it's not too bad. I was worried that he would add 5 or 10, but I think let us see the one. Maybe there is a ministerial position which he is introducing, so we get to know how it will help us. But I think he should stop now increasing the number of ministers.
17 years ago, the LRA rebels commanded by Dominic Ongwen massacred 28 people in a Bok camp. The rebels also burnt the camp, leaving several men and women, including children, severely injured, while others were maimed and left in deplorable condition. Now, some victims have since passed on, while others are still living miserably up to now. Local leaders say the victims have never been supported, even when the proprietor, Dominic Ongwen, has been convicted by the ICC.
The memory of the Lord's resistance army insurgency on northern Uganda is still fresh in the victims' minds. Filda, a resident of Abok A in Abok sub-county, Oyam district, saw her husband and son die in cold blood when the rebels attacked Abok IDB camp in 2004.
Adira ni komuni kai waka gamatin ento bandung po binu mi ngi na tina yai ko na duisha anda te makati na tin kita te chwal kwarne te gamote tingu cha do charpeng ni ya ino chilo ka kana ko research ya mweni to tungien dang chilo gyo ko research du ja bichi du te to ko do bu bar kana pare chen.
After the incident, Filda, a peasant farmer, remained alone to take care of 11 other family members, which he says is overwhelming, and one of her daughters, who had just completed Senior 4, disappeared from home because she could not continue paying her school fees. Filda's story is not any different from Julius Peter Tim, whose father was also shot dead and burnt in the same attack and has been struggling to raise over 35 whose parents were killed. On the 8th June 2004, LRA rebels commanded by Dominic Ongwen attacked a Bok camp currently in Oyam district and massacred over 28 people, burnt houses and left several maimed and others traumatized up to now on seeing their loved ones die in cold blood.
The name Mashiduogo started from here. The women around here were saying, Nafa is back because Kalengwala has come. So the name Mashiduogo started from here. And anything, even a house, even a tree, he has not even planted a tree here in memory of what has happened.
Phillips Ogila is the new chairperson of a Abok sub-county whose headquarters sits on the memorial site.
This place you are seeing was fully camp. People were not rehabilitated here like any other places. Rehabilitation can be by words, can be by material forms, can be in any form. Recognition alone is a form of rehabilitation.
In other areas, like in Barlon and Abia Memorial Site, government has since built vocational schools, which is not the case in Abok.
People who testify in ICC court from here, some of them are not even victim families. My coming here and as a chairman has already started identifying those ones who are killed, the victim families. On record, they are fully neglected.
Local leaders, victims, and those who lost their loved ones are now pleading to the government of Uganda, ICC, and well-wishers to rush to their rescue.
People are traumatized, people are killing each other, people are HIV positive, people are so many. If Corona goes off, like in 2021, we are also calling you, Your Excellency, to come and also lay rough.
Every year, the community here would gather at the memorial site to pray not only for the souls of their innocent loved ones, but also to heal themselves psychologically.
People around here, they are traumatized. As a spiritual leader, we need to pray for them, to assist them, and the government should come in to build something that will help them to forget what had happened in the past.
Behind me is the monument that was constructed in 2016 in memory of the 28 people who were massacred here in Abok on the 8th of June 2004. But what is also painful is that the community here is yet waiting for any form of support from government and other well-wishers up to now. I'm Eddie Olua, reporting for UBC News.
Now, 32 National Unity Platform supporters were this week paraded at the General Court Martial in Makindye and charged with unlawful possession of fire ammunition. The accused who pleaded not guilty to the alleged offences were remanded at Chitalia and Chigo government prisons until 22nd June 2021.
The General Court Martial before Lieutenant General Andrew Gutiérrez Tuesday afternoon paraded over 30 fresh National Unity Platform supporters in court Sovlo. The accused in court were slapped with counts of unlawful possession of fire ammunitions. However, they pleaded not guilty.
Seguja Rashid, also known as Chairman, Secretary Yasin, also known as Machete, between November 2020 and the 12th day of May 2021 in diverse areas of Jinja, Mbale, Kireka, Nakulabye, Kawempe, Katete, Kampala Central were in possession of 13 pieces of explosive devices, which are ammunition ordinarily the monopoly of the defense forces.
The accused did not have their lawyers, who were asked whether they were okay to be represented by the government lawyer. However, some accused preferred to be represented by their lawyers Wamini Anthony, Medad Lubega Segona, Benjamin Katana, and Shamim Malinde. Prosecution led by Major Samuel Masereji, after charge, informed court that inquiries are still ongoing. On this, requested court for more time, which court granted.
We pray for a shorter judgment of up to the 22nd of June 2021 formation. My Lord, we pray that the male accused person be remanded to Italia prison and the lady
Following the absence of their lawyers, the accused were further remanded to Chiga and Kitalia government prisons until 22nd June 2021. Prosecution alleges that in November 2020 and on 12th May 2021, the 32 accused persons and others still at large were found in unlawful possession of fire ammunitions, a monopoly of the Uganda People's Defense Forces. These include Sechitoleko Yasin Alais Machete, Togumayo Ronald, Kakoza Nordin, Seguja Rashid, Nyombi Richard, Kalanzi Shafiq, Lutayo Olivia, Chiwanuka Musa, Kato Emma, among others. Although a disabled Falias Eddie Mutu and 16 others were meant to appear in court today for bail. However, they were nowhere to be seen in court, neither their lawyers. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Now let's take a short commercial break and return after these messages. Please stay tuned.
Therefore, understanding this model.
Hey, excuse me, lady. Who do you think you are? A queen?
Hey, haven't you heard? Get Airtel Chillax bundles and browse like a queen.
Get Airtel Chillax bundles that do not expire and browse like a queen or king. Dial *175# or use My Airtel app.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
In chess, the small one can become the big one. It's the same here. And here too. Watch every move. Record every number so you can plan better. No matter the size of your dream, tomorrow's success belongs to those who keep today's records clean. File your returns today.
Uganda Revenue Authority. Developing Uganda together.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we learn, because it's those things that bring us close together.
Prosper with Airtel Money today. Become an Airtel Money agent. Apply or register today as an Airtel Money agent free of charge, or call us on 0800 327 327 toll free. Submit your business documents to be verified by Airtel Uganda free of charge. Feedback will be communicated within a maximum of 5 working days. The Airtel team will be in touch with you for the next business steps, still at no cost. Inquiries, applications or registrations and verification are all free of charge. To register or know more, call us today on 0800 327 327 toll free. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC Lunchtime News, the weekly Roundup edition, here broadcasting live from Nile Avenue. We're also streaming live on YouTube, so you can actually find this bulletin anytime, any day. Now, in business, embracing government programs is one of the avenues through which commercial farmers have been able to register economic success in northern Uganda. The Regional Coordinator Operation Wealth Creation, Acholi Ecological Region, Brigadier Francis Achoka, this week said that 50% of the targets have been met. It is for this reason that women in the region are called upon to embrace Operation Wealth Creation programs.
This is Laro Peche, one of the divisions that make up the recently created Gulu City in northern Uganda. Among the renowned residents here is Lalam Pascal Oketa, a retired civil servant formerly working with Bank of Uganda. Despite being retired, she starts her day on a busy note preoccupied with finding and preparing livestock feeds for these cows.
We are in a big group as dairy farmers, and Gulu City dairy farmers. I had to pull our chairperson who didn't know where DDA is. I said, let's go to DDA. Let's talk to them. Let's get knowledge from them. I always want anybody near me to grow. Because if you have neighbors who are okay, you don't suffer so much.
As she cuts this grass using this not so modern technology, she is aware of what it takes to become a successful dairy farmer.
First of all, I saw it from one lady, Joska Utawa. She's a clan sister. She's with the Gulu Women Dairy. I saw what it did to her. So I took interest in that. And I had to learn from there. In fact, there's a lot I do. When I reach your farm, I will not come out empty. I make sure I pick something new, unique.
It is just a matter of time that soon she will turn waste into wealth. That is if plans to generate biogas power from this cow dung is anything to go by.
It is not something for the government. Something given to you is yours. I always tell them, I say, what has been given to you is your share of what you do, enjoy out of the government is a faction.
What she's doing is not very different from what Rose Ola, another cattle farmer from the neighboring district of Kitgum, is doing. A former councillor for Muchweni in Kitgum municipality embraced the practice in 2017 and has since never looked back.
Operation Well Creation, they give me one bull of cow, which was now pregnant. So after 2017, 2018, she delivered a girl.
With the ability to earn 75,000 weekly and capacity to save 30,000 every Saturday, her livelihood has improved.
I pay with my school fees of my children. One is now in university, but of lockdown, she was going to finish it this year, this month. And one is in Senior 6, and one is in Tishon, Nakawa.
The venture has suffered some challenges, including livestock diseases. This, however, has not been to the extent of inability to manage, thanks to the district veterinary department.
Every 2 weeks, you have to give the treatment, you wash their house every morning, and you make the house to be clean.
What we always do is routine vaccination, which is timely. We do vaccination against foot and mouth disease annually. We do vaccination against CVPP annually. We do vaccination against black water annually. And then we keep on advising them to do weekly spraying of these animals against ectoparasite.
All this has been made possible with support from Operation Wealth Creation, a Ugandan government initiative for economic empowerment.
About 50% of what we have given have survived. This is mainly because of the practice, the cultural practice in this community.
With such progress, it is just high time that women, not just in northern Uganda, but across the country, embraced this program. Henry Okurut, UBC.
And in our sports roundup, Moses Magogo was this week elected unopposed for the FUFA presidency. Now this comes after candidates who had picked forms failed to meet the requirement. Details follow.
Magogo has been declared unopposed for the Federation of Football Association presidency after competitors failed to meet the requirements. Machinde West legislator Alan Sewanyana and Mojib Kasule had declared interest to stand against the incumbent. The declaration means Magogo, who has been occupying the office since 2013, will be presented as the sole candidate in the FUFA General Assembly.
The candidate returned nomination forms even after extending for 5 days. The candidate who asked for the 5 days did not bring back nomination forms. The two candidates, 12 of the 3 candidates wrote to us expressing their issues, and we've responded to them. By the powers entrusted to the FUFA Electoral Committee, we hereby declare Mr. Moses Magogo Hasim and his listed executive members as duly nominated with all requirements provided as per the FUFA Electoral Court and FUFA statutes.
Meanwhile, Cranes head coach Abdallah Mubiru has named the final team that will travel to South Africa for the upcoming international build-up on the 10th of June 2021 at the Orlando Stadium, Soweto. 23 players are on the team, with the South African-based legend of goalkeeper Ismail Watenga, Moses Waiswa, joining the team in Soweto. Others are Emma Okwi, Kayondo Abdulaziz, Walusimbi Enoch, Juku Murshid, Waria Khalid, among others. The team flies out Monday night aboard Uganda Airlines.
And that brings us to the end of our weekly roundup edition of the Lunchtime News. Thank you for being a lovely audience. My name is Wadulo Arnold, and greetings to all your family members. Please do remember, maintain a social distance, wear a face mask when you're in public places, and also wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water. If not, use sanitizer. Good afternoon.